Today, we are going to make an arsenal for a rev dominant bowler. Make sure to stay tuned. We're going to build a 6-ball arsenal, give you tips if you're a rev dominant bowler on what kind of bowling balls you should look towards, and some tips if you don't want to be as rev dominant and you want to be closer to balanced. If you want to support the channel, help us continue making videos like we do, we have many different social media channels that you can go check out. Subscriptions and follows are always the best way to help the channel. We have a Discord with 600 plus bowlers in it. We have a Twitch, we have a TikTok, we have an Instagram, we have a little bit of everything. Any support, we really appreciate it. But let's get into what a rev dominant arsenal looks like. First and foremost, what is a rev dominant bowler? This is somebody whose rev rate overpowers their speed. This is generally a lot of two-handed bowlers, no-thumb bowlers, and also a lot of senior bowlers fall into this category, because being rev dominant does not mean that your rev rate is over 500. It just means that your rev rate outmatches your speed, so that you need to play deeper on the lane. So you can have that really low speed, an okay rev rate, and you're rev dominant, or you can be a freak of nature and have a 600 rev rate and 19-mile-an-hour speed, and you're definitely going to be rev dominant. This fits a lot of different categories of bowlers. So this is going to be a lot of you watching actually are going to fall in this rev dominant camp. More bowlers are rev dominant than they are speed dominant. So first of all, let's talk about a couple tips before we get into a specific arsenal. Number one, strong bowling balls are not going to be your friend. You are not going to need the Jackal Onyxes of the world. They just are not going to look good for you. They're going to hook way too early. Unless you bowl on a ton of oil or you bowl in sport shots, you generally don't need those really strong core bowling balls. Weaker cores are going to look a lot better for you. Cover stocks, on the other hand, you can kind of go all over the board. If you have a strong cover and a weak core, that might look really good for you. Something like an Effect Tour might look fantastic. However, it's the strong cores that you need to worry about, because you're going to have your ball flaring a ton. But then with that, let's get into the arsenal. What is this arsenal going to look like? Well, we're going to use our 6-ball arsenal scale, a strong and smooth, all the way down to a weak and sharp bowling ball. We have a couple videos explaining what each category means, but the quick TLDR is that this determines when a bowling ball is going to hook, what kind of oil it's best for, and what its down lane reaction is going to be. The smooth versus sharp determines its down lane reaction. The strong versus weak determines how much oil it should be thrown on. Strong means a lot of oil, weak means not much oil. But let's start with category number one. Your strong and smooth ball is going to be something weaker as an asymmetrical ball, either a really strong symmetrical ball or a really weak asymmetrical solid. Like I said, you don't want to hit those Jackal Onyxes. You want to go with something like a Black Widow 3.0. You want to go with something like a Origin EX. You want to go with something like a Sub-Zero Forge, drilled a little bit weaker though. You don't want the strongest. You can also go a Motive Evoke in this category. One of those two might look really good for you. This is going to be a ball you need if there's a ton of oil. If you come out and there's a ton of oil and you need to control your down lane reaction and get your ball to stay very slow and smooth, this is going to be the ball that you want to go for. This isn't going to be the strongest of the strong, but you don't need that. You overpower the lane. You have a high rev rate, so that's not going to be the case. Or you have a higher rev rate compared to your speed. So one of those weaker asymmetrical solid balls or stronger symmetrical balls will be your best friend here. Your second ball is going to be a strong and sharp bowling ball, but again, it's going to be on the weaker end. You're not going to need the 900 Global Origin. You're not going to need those really strong asim pearls. You just want something a little more mellow. You want something still with a strong core, strong cover, but not too strong. So what are some categories here? What are some options? You can go with things like the Track Theorem. You could go with the Brunswick Vaporize. You could go with something like the Storm Attention Star. You could go with something like the Motive. The Motive Evoke Hysteria is probably going to be really good here for you. I think that's probably going to be the best rev dominant option out of all of those, because it has that strong core, strong cover, but it still gets through the front part of the lane better than most asymmetrical pearls on the market. But again, remember, you don't need those really strong cores. You don't need those really strong covers a lot of the time. Good to have one or two just in case, but if you're just a house shot bowler, you definitely don't need those top of the top balls. Next up, we're going to the medium and smooth category. This is going to be your benchmark bowling ball. In this case, a benchmark bowling ball is something that's in the middle of your arsenal. This is going to be your middle ball reaction. You're going to have bowling balls that hook more than it above it and balls that hook less than it below it. So this is going to be that middle of the bag. This is going to be generally a symmetrical solid or symmetrical pearl ball or symmetrical hybrid ball because those are going to be very consistent. You know what you're getting out of them and they're not too strong, not too weak, more of that Goldilocks effect. So you do not want those really strong symmetrical solids though. We are avoiding the stealth mode. We are avoiding the lethal venom. We're avoiding those kinds of balls. Instead, we are going to go with the hammerhead or the hammer anger solid. The anger solid, if you're extremely rev dominant, is going to be lights out for you. Otherwise, the hammerhead can be another great option. As a storm bowler, as an SPI bowler, this is going to be a really good spot for something like a Rockstar. Or if you want an Ion Pro Solid, take the polish off of it and it can jump up to this category. You're a motive bowler, the Venom Shock and the Black Venom are going to be money in this category. That's going to be as strong as you need to get for your benchmark. Not too strong, not too weak, like we mentioned. This is going to be a ball that you know what it's going to do. You won't have to get way too far left. It's not going to burn up on you too quickly. It's just going to be that consistent staple ball reaction in your bag. The next category is the medium and sharp category. This is going to be your benchmark pearl reaction, the middle of the bag pearl reaction, shiny reaction. It's going to be a step down from your strong and sharp ball, but a step up from all of those weak and sharp balls. Some of my favorite balls in this list, some of the best on the market right now, if you're a Storm fan, is going to be something like that new Rotogrip Gremlin. That Gremlin is going to be a really good ball in this slot. It's not going to over jump on you down lane. That's a big problem that rev dominant bowlers generally have is their ball is just too angular and too much down lane where that Gremlin can come into play. It's got that stronger core, not too strong, but stronger, but then a really weak cover stock. So I think that Gremlin fits well there for an SPI bowler. You're a Brunswick fan, this is going to be a good spot for the GB5 Pearl. This ball is one of the most underrated balls on the market right now. It is very good in this category. It's not going to be too sharp down lane. It's going to be very round, very consistent. I think that'll work really well there. And then if you're a motive fan, this is going to be a great spot for your Hyper Venom or your Primal Rage Evolution. I think either one can work really well here. They're going to be weaker pearls compared to a lot of the others that you could pick, but they're gonna be a little more angular, especially that Primal Rage is pretty sharp down lane. So the Hyper Venom might be your best play if you're extremely rev dominant, but if you're just regular rev dominant, then a Primal Rage could work well. And now we're on the weak categories, and this weak and smooth category might be your best friend if you're a rev dominant bowler. These are going to be balls that don't overhook down lane. They aren't too angular. You can keep in front of you, but they're still going to get through a lot of that oil. So some of the best options in this category are actually going to be from Brunswick. The Ebonite Turbo X is going to be absolutely money from this spot if you're rev dominant. Really, really good reactive ball that you're going to be able to keep in front of you. Some other really good options for you if you're in the storm side are going to be things like the Hustle Earth. Honestly, that Hustle Earth has looked phenomenal so far for a lot of people, so I think that could be a great option for you. And then motive, unfortunately, you don't have many options. The max thrills are still way too strong. Those new ascends are a little bit too weak. So you have two different options. You have the max thrill solid that you drill a lot weaker and then you keep the surface on it. Or you have an ascend that you drill really strong and you bring down to 2000 grit. I think those are about the only two options as a motive fan. This is going to be a ball that you can use in the early parts of league that you're going to be able to keep in front of you. You won't have to get too far left. You don't have to play 20 at the arrows with these guys, but they're still going to hit really well. This is unfortunately a spot that a lot of rev dominant bowlers throw urethane in, but it's not for that. You shouldn't be using urethane in this slot. What you should use are these reactive balls that I mentioned. And last but not least is the weak and sharp category. This is going to be your weakest ball in your bag. You want this ball to be super weak because one of the biggest issues that I see from bowlers, a lot of the biggest questions I get is, hey, all my balls hook way too much. What can I get that isn't going to hook as much? Here are going to be some fantastic options for you. If you're in the storm camp, you're going to want to go with a Hustle Glow. If you want, you could go with a Storm Typhoon. Might be too much ball yet. Depends on how rev dominant you are. But otherwise, if you need to go lower than that, the Tropical Surges are actually pretty decent reactive bowling balls. They're better than you'd expect, so that can be another option for you. If you really cannot keep anything on the lane, a Tropical Surge is going to be your best friend. If you're in the Brunswick camp, you're gonna want to go with something like the Ivory Rhino. You're gonna want to go with the Fireball from Ebonite. That one actually is probably gonna be a top option. But if you really, really need it, the Hammer Raws are there. The Hammer Raw Pearls are gonna be good options too. They're just like the Tropicals, just a different brand. Then from Motive, I think this is the point where the Ascend is going to be really good. I think the Max Thrills are going to be way too strong, so that new Motive Ascend, the shiny ones, are going to be the best play. They're going to be very, very weak, don't get me wrong, but I think that's going to be your best option if you need something that you need to keep on the lane and you don't want to overhook on you. And that is our 6-ball arsenal scale for a Rev dominant bowler. To end the video, I'm going to talk about what you can do to become less Rev dominant and more of a balanced bowler. And really, that's going to come down to speed, speed, speed. So speed is one of the tougher things to get in bowling. There's 3 main ways to get more speed on your ball. Number 1 is have longer arms. That one's kind of out of your control. So if you have longer arms, you're going to have more speed. Me, as someone who's 6'5", I can throw the ball really, really fast, so I'm usually not in a problem in that category. But somebody who's 5'8", whole different set of issues. Number 2, the best way is to speed up your footwork. The faster your feet go to get to the line, the faster all of your stuff is going to be, all of your form is going to be, and that's going to cause you to throw it quicker without having to use muscle. Number 3, the next best way is going to be a higher backswing. The higher your backswing is, the more momentum you have going into the line, the faster your throw is going to be. The one thing you do not want to do is try to throw harder. You don't want to use your arms to throw it harder. That adds a level of inconsistency. You want to be able to use your feet and your legs to try to gain that speed and not your upper body. With those tips, that should get you closer to that balanced point if you want to. There is nothing wrong with being rev dominant or speed dominant. It just means you need a different bowling ball arsenal. You need to look at the lanes a little differently than everybody else, and that's okay at the end of the day. So otherwise, if this video helped you, I really hope you guys did enjoy it. I hope it did help you. Let me know down below in the comments if you like these kinds of videos. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you on the next one.